Welcome back to another week of the Check the Numbers Sports Podcast. Dan, my co-host Matt and Zach. Hope you guys are doing pretty well today.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I think a big week, especially in football. I would think it coming off one of the worst weeks of playoff games that we saw last week. Is it safe to say that this is one of the best weeks of playoff football that you guys have ever seen?
One of the best playoff weekends in history.
It might be the best.
Like just yesterday alone, oh my God. Like we saw two amazing games. I mean, I'll let you finish. We'll get into it.
I think I just love how there was offensive games and like defense. Like every game had something different, which was really, really good.
Yeah. I mean,
For sure.
3 away teams having game-winning field goals. And then, I mean, those weren't even the best of the weekend. So I think we can start in the AFC. We can start with the Bengals and the Titans game, which is the battle between two of the 4 teams that's this year, in the Bengals and the Titans. It was probably the least entertaining game of this weekend, in my opinion. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I agree. Although I will say I called it. I mean, with the Bengals beating the Titans, I mean, Derrick Henry got just completely bottled up. I mean, and then you had Ryan Tannehill. I'm sorry, you can't win that many playoff games without good quarterback play. I mean, he had a total QBR. Ryan Tannehill had a total QBR of 10.4. I mean, it was horrendous. And I mean, I think the Bengals could put up a good fight against the Chiefs the next week. I mean, Joe Burrow looked pretty good. But yeah, Titans, Mickey Mouse 1 seed. I called it.
Yeah, I think this weekend in general proved that you need one of two things or both to be a successful team in the NFL. Either that's elite quarterback play or an elite defense. The Bengals have an elite quarterback play. Titans have neither. That showed. I said last week that the Titans are going to get out to a lead and they'll just ride Derrick Henry. I think I must have overestimated how healthy Derrick Henry was, because he clearly did not look 100%, even if he said he was. And I know the Bengals won, but all I have to say is just get Joe Burrow some protection, please. Just do it.
9
sacks. God.
Invest in the offensive line. And I think they will, because they're set up to win. That's literally their only weak spot, maybe besides a few defensive players here and there, but their defense can hold its own. But their O-line, just get him some help, please.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 4 key takeaways from this game. And 2 of them are like you said. One is the Bengals are set up to win now. Like Joe Burrow said in his press conference, like everyone's saying we're the underdog. Like they're not really an underdog. Like they're a really good football team. They're a division winner. And I think their future is right now.
If anything, their best position to win is this year.
Is this year, yeah. And then the second takeaway, like you said, I think they rushed Derrick Henry back for this game, because Deontay Foreman had 4 more yards than him on 16 less carries. I mean, I think Derrick Henry had 20 carries for about 62 yards, and he wasn't moving the offense at all. I know he had a touchdown, but I think they would have been almost better off with Deontay Foreman. I think it would have made their offense a little more versatile and a little less predictable. And then the third takeaway I had is T. Higgins is the glue for the Bengals offense. Everyone's talking about Jamar Chase, but T. Higgins is really good. And, in the first half, I know Jamar Chase had 1 big catch, but they were kind of bottling him up. And T. Higgins was just making catch after catch. And, I think Jamar Chase is good, but he might be receiver 1B on that team with the way that he plays. And then the last takeaway is just Ryan Tannehill tried to do too much with his team. And when you try to do too much in a football game and in any sport, it can come back to bite you.
I mean, he really can't do anything. Let's be real. No, just kidding. But I mean, at least this game he couldn't. I mean, and I do agree. They definitely did rush Derrick Henry back, but you can't really blame them. I mean, getting their best offensive player. You want your best players back in a win or go home situation. So I don't blame them, but then again, there's there's only so many. I mean, the buildup is just gonna catch up to you when you're getting, 25, 30 carries a game. I mean, yeah, it made sense.
One last thing I will say, AJ Brown is elite.
Yep.
Super elite.
He did his job.
Yep.
And
Definitely.
another thing is Julio Jones. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's not the same guy he used to be. The hype should be over about him. He didn't really do anything.
He's so washed. I'm sorry. Like, we should have seen it coming, like, especially with last year too. I mean, there's always something going on with his hamstring. Literally questionable with his hamstring every single week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all catching up to him, but he's definitely had a great career, but the hype should definitely be gone.
Unbelievable career, but it looks like it's coming to an end for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could switch over to the other game in the AFC, which I think is honestly one of the greatest games I've ever watched ever. Especially that fourth quarter and overtime period. Yeah, you can go.
There are like 3 games in recent memory that stand out to me that are the greatest games ever. Last night was one of them. Rams Chiefs 2018 was one of them. And Chargers Raiders to end the season this past year was the third that I can remember. And this game is just, I mean, this just goes to what I said before. Like, you need elite quarterback play. Like, this game should have 25 other teams making plans in the offseason, because
get a good quarterback.
Mahomes against Allen is going to be a rivalry for 10 years. And that brings me into another
quarterbacks. You go.
Your point that the games that you mentioned, I had a question I was going to pose to you guys of which game was better, this game or the Rams Chiefs game back in 2018.
Ooh.
I mean, honestly, I'd only say this game because it was in the playoffs. And also, yes, like, a lot of what the Rams were able to do that season was because of how McVay schemed Goff. Because let's be real, Goff had a ceiling. Like, these two guys are like, Goff was never a top 5 quarterback. Like, these two guys are cemented top 5 guys, probably top 3. And I think just with the stakes were higher, both guys were able to deliver, and it made for amazing TV. And the way it ended, I mean, yeah, there's controversy, but I mean, it sucks that one of them had to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would go with this game too, with mainly being that it's a playoff game, and it does look like it was a pseudo AFC championship. I mean, and also, obviously the ending, yes, very controversial, which I do want to touch on a little bit. I don't think that the rules should be changed. I think they're perfectly fine the way it is. I honestly find it ridiculous when people are saying, "Oh, the game was decided on a coin flip." I mean, really? So the Bills defense didn't have a chance to get a stop and get the ball back. Are you really telling me
I have some things I would like to say about this.
Are you really telling me that the defense just doesn't go on the field and Mahomes just drives down the field completely open? Yeah, I get that weak shit out.
Okay, wait. Let me offer one counterpoint. Tell me what more Josh Allen could have done.
I'm not saying that
What
Allen
possibly more could he have done? And even
he put them up with 13 seconds left and never touched the ball again.
Even if you want to say don't change the rules, fine. At least if you're gonna say it's on the defense, fine. Give the Chiefs defense a chance to answer, because let's be real, both defenses were gassed. Both defenses weren't good that game. So at least give the Chiefs defense a chance to make the play. I mean, if everyone's saying get a stop, okay, give Josh Allen a turn.
Make both teams have to get a stop.
No, yeah, I understand that, but I will say it's overtime. So like the game's got to end eventually. You know what I mean? I personally think that if we were to give both teams a possession, the games would just go on forever. I think like
if they can make a stop.
I think also one thing, both teams, everyone's saying, oh, they're going to be so tired for the game. The Bengals had an extra day rest. Okay. I guarantee both teams would sign up to play 7 hours of football in order to move to the next round. No team is going to quit just because they're tired in the playoffs. They're going to keep
Oh,
playing.
yeah. Yeah,
So-
of course.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I've seen so many people say, oh, it's because they're going to get too tired. The players are playing past that. The players are going to do whatever it takes to win the game. And if it goes on for forever and ever, I mean, that's so be it. I mean, you can't
And
just
it's not like
you can't have Josh Allen put the team up 13 seconds and not give him at least a chance.
it's also not like the offensive players aren't gassed as well. I mean, they've been running around for 60 minutes. And the last thing I'll say, I think football is the only sport where you have an overtime period where neither team touches the ball. I mean, you think about the other sports, basketball, both teams are playing, hockey, both teams are playing, soccer, both teams are playing. You look at baseball, both teams getting at bat. Imagine a baseball game where you went to extra innings and you said, all right, if the home team scores, the away team scores, they win. Right?
I would say
Imagine
it's
how many
different with
extra
baseball.
inning game would end like that.
How?
But why is it different?
How is it different?
That both teams get to touch the ball?
Both teams
Because-
played 9 innings. Both teams
Were on
played the
offense
same
and
game.
defense.
It's because in baseball, it's extra innings, and you basically
But how is it
have-
different from overtime?
because it's like
If your argument could be if you want to.
It's extra
I don't-
extra game time.
I don't want to interrupt you, but if you're like, if your argument is like for the same with baseball, if the defense needs to get a stop, okay, fine. The pitcher just needs to get every out. I mean,
And then the
offense
game
isn't going
has
to
to-
score.
And the same thing with the argument about the game has to end at some point. We've seen extra inning games go to 18 innings. I mean, or plus.
no, yeah,
like-
that's fair. But like I think it's different with baseball mainly because it's like basically there's home field advantage. You know what I mean? So that's the reason that that if the away team scores, it doesn't just end. There's home field advantage. If the away team scored in extra innings and the game was just over, that just doesn't really make any sense because in theory, because in 9 innings, both teams have to hit. In football, if you really wanted to, you could just run out the clock.
I
But
mean, not really.
all right, but I don't know. I feel like it's way different in baseball considering the home field advantage.
I think the principles are the same.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to it, like maybe you don't have to change the rule in the regular season, but in a playoff game where it's your season on the line and you played the whole game and then you're going to tell me that you're not going to get the ball in overtime. Like,
Yeah, but
that just seems a little bit unfair.
But,
Or
I mean-
hear me out. Don't
Okay.
even just one quick thing. Even don't even give the other team the ball to match. If you really want the fairest, most raw version of the game, just have it be another 15-minute quarter.
It doesn't even have to be 15 minutes.
It doesn't even have to be 15
each
minutes.
team
but
gets a drive.
You have to give the quarterback a chance. The quarterback, everyone says, most important position in football. Put the ball in the most important position's hands.
But then again, football is a team sport. So like
Every sport is a team sport.
Or if you're going to
Yeah,
make it
but-
off a coin toss, then do the coin toss in the beginning of the game. Like do it before the first quarter even starts. So you know who's going to start with the ball in overtime so that with 13 seconds left, the Bills know if we go to overtime, the Chiefs are getting the ball. So it changes the way that they would play defense. And then at least you know who's going to get the ball in overtime. When it comes down to a coin flip, at that point, it's kind of luck. And for a
not
playoff game to
necessarily.
be decided by that, why? Because you can call heads or tails.
No, because the defense is out there. They need to get a stop. That's a part of the team just as much as the offense is.
No,
I
you're right.
think
And the
it's- I
defense
think
can get a
it's
stop.
ridiculous.
But if the offense scores, the game is over, right? But if the defense stops them and forces a punt, the game continues. So then if you're saying, oh, the defense has to get a stop, then why not make it if the defense gets a stop, they win?
Well, because then the game would just tie. But
Well, yeah, but that's like kind of the logic where you're saying both teams wouldn't have to touch the ball.
all right, okay. I guess we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
The most
what's-
I would say, the most I would like compromise with is each team gets one possession.
That's
I don't think
that's
it
what
should
my
really
solution
go on
would be.
after that.
But the one thing I will say, and this is kind of going the other direction, I can understand why people don't want to change it. Because let's be real, if the Bills did win that game, I don't know if we're having the same discussion, because I feel like a lot of America was rooting for the Bills. So
We just blame it on the Chiefs defense, right?
I think either way, you need to give the quarterbacks a fair shot. But I'm just saying, I feel like I don't think the rule is going to get changed. I think this is all just discussion, because I don't think NFL wants to change the rule. But I'm just saying, I feel like you got to give the quarterback a shot. Like Josh Allen, there's 0.0 anything he could have possibly done to put the Bills in a better position to win the game.
No, yeah, Josh Allen definitely couldn't do
The
anything.
whole
more.
offense.
But yeah, the whole offense. But the defense has to go out there and get a stop. So, and it's just as important. So I think that, like, yeah, he's not getting the ball. He didn't get the ball in overtime, but it really is the defense's fault for not being able to get that stop. Because obviously Mahomes is a worldly talent, but they still have to get that stop, right? So get the stop, force him to punt the ball. All you need is a field goal to win the game after that. So that's why I think the rules shouldn't really be changed.
Yeah. I mean, there's arguments for either side, but the last thing I just want to put out there is I saw a thing on Instagram today. The last 11 under the current NFL rules, the last 11 playoff games that came down to overtime, the teams that won the coin toss are 10-1. So
I mean,
it's a big advantage after the coin toss.
I
know the defense has to make a stop.
If any team would understand,
It's the Chiefs.
It's the Chiefs.
It happened to them 3 years ago.
no, yeah, but
And then they proposed
they
to
got to
change
get
the
a
rule.
stop. They got to get a
They
stop
proposed to
though.
change the rule, and the NFL didn't agree with it. But
Right,
yeah, I mean, I don't think
anything's
anything's going to happen this year, but something they should. I don't know. They should have at
What we-
least a discussion about it.
What we can agree on is that this game was amazing. Mahomes and
Yeah.
Allen are probably top three, and that was amazing viewing experience.
No, yeah, for sure.
And Stephon Diggs did not show up in his revenge game. He had 3 catches
Yo,
for 7
what
yards.
a joke.
I mean,
Oh
what
my
was the
God.
point
Shout
of
out
even
Gabe
standing
Davis,
out on
by
the
the
field
way.
last year? Yeah, oh my God, he played
Yeah.
unbelievably, and he is going to be a force. He's 22 years old, and he's the youngest Bills receiver by far. And Sanders and
was
Beasley are getting up there in age.
Unreal.
He's going to be
Absolutely
really good.
unreal.
And Allen seems to really like to throw to him.
Mike Hughes is still looking for his ankles on that one touchdown.
Oh my God.
Holy
It's sad that play is not going to be like, if the Bills had won that game, that's what everyone would have been talking about, is that play. Because Mike Hughes, it looked like he got shot.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
that was bad.
He could have torn his ACL on that. Like it was.
Did he even come back on the? Well, he didn't come back on the field after that because the Bills offense never came back on the field.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
I think, speaking of elite quarterbacks, we did see one fall to the San Francisco 49ers. So
God.
what do you guys think about that?
Oh God.
That was a
Here,
sloppy
Dave, you
game.
go first. It was.
Yeah, I think
Very, very
it was a sloppy game. Neither team really seemed to be super aggressive. For the 49ers, I think it's just because Jimmy G can't really be aggressive. And then I don't know what the 49ers, credit to the 49ers defense. They got shredded on the first drive, and then Aaron Rodgers couldn't do a thing. And I think what it comes down to is both quarterbacks played terribly in this game. Rodgers had a 19.4 QBR, and Jimmy G had a 11.9 QBR.
Typical Jimmy D fashion.
No, typical Jimmy D fashion.
Oh yeah, exactly.
This time he was on the comeback end of the game. But I think what summarizes it is that people say that you have to play on all 3 facets of the game, and the Packers special teams unit is 32nd ranked in the NFL, and they only had 10 guys lined up on the field after that last field goal. So they failed on a third of the game, and that's probably the reason why they lost.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, and also Aaron Rodgers. First, we'll briefly mention, bye Aaron Rodgers. He is not coming back to Green Bay. You heard it here first. But yeah, he looked pretty damn bad in this game. Although I will say yet definitely credit to the 49ers defense for sure. I mean, to win a game without an offensive touchdown is just very impressive, to say the least. But obviously, I think that's unsustainable. And I don't think that's going to get them to win the Super Bowl. But yeah, but still credit to the 49ers defense.
There are three things I want to touch on in this game. And I didn't touch on one of them last week when I should have. Deebo Samuel is elite. He is there is no player like him in the NFL. No player. Zero. None. He is one of one. He is an elite talent. 49ers pay him whatever he wants. Elite. 2, Fred Warner, elite. Top 3 linebacker in the NFL, shutting down tight ends, forcing that fumble that would have Packers were driving, forced that fumble on Mercedes Lewis, completely changed the script of the game.
It changed all the momentum in that one.
And everything. 3, I just want to touch on the special teams a little bit. In 2010, the Chargers had the #1 ranked offense and defense in the league, had the last ranked special teams and missed the playoffs. So when anyone ever tells you special teams doesn't matter, just tell them this game and tell them that Chargers team. Special teams.
And this is a debate that we can get into
matters.
In another episode, but I've seen it float around. If you could draft a punter that would down it within, not even at the 1 yard line, but within the 10-yard line every time, would you draft him first overall?
No, I wouldn't draft him in
this.
I wouldn't draft him in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, the 4th round. No, I think that's
I don't necessarily think either way, but that was just something I'd seen before.
Okay, yeah, I'll briefly say, punters, no.
They're important, but I don't think they're that.
They're important.
Yeah,
they're important, but really, the blame go. You don't want the punter to be on the field, ever. Yeah. So the blame would just go to the offense. But
yeah, no, I agree with that. That they should. It was a little overhyped of a debate there.
Being a punter though seems pretty cool.
Like, yeah, we saw the Bills punter for the first time in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that was he was on the Dolphins like last 2 years ago, and I didn't even realize that was him because he hasn't punted in forever.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
And then the last game we can touch on is the Rams-Bucs game. Oh, the last thing I want to say about the 49ers-Packers game is Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams had 18 of their 20 receptions and 219 of their 225 yards. You're not going to win like that.
You're not
going to win like that.
They had their chance to get Aaron Rodgers some help, and they didn't. So he's gone.
Rodgers, he has safety blanket syndrome in my words, which is when the situation gets tough, he force feeds the ball to the guys he trusts, which is Adams and Cobb, which one isn't sustainable, and even if it was sustainable, wasn't going to work in those conditions. So I think that I also think that Rodgers is gone. I know we'll touch on that a little bit later, but
yeah,
it's not looking like a great offseason for Green Bay.
Not at all.
And then, so like I said, we can move on to the other game in the NFC, which is Rams-Bucs. And this game was a blowout for a while, and then the Bucs made it close at the end.
Definitely credit to Brady and, well, sort of. Definitely credit for the Bucs to come back, mostly to get it at least tied. They couldn't finish the job, but definitely credit for them. Although Brady had so many chances to at least take a lead or convert, and
it's like the football gods were just like laying it out on a silver platter for him.
He had plot armor. He had football plot armor, and he still couldn't get the job done. Like, did you guys see that play on like 4th and 9 where he just threw it to nobody and Scotty Miller was just wide open? I mean, he had so many chances.
Not to mention
the fantasy football gods, the football gods, they were begging him to win this game and he still couldn't do it.
Not to mention all-pro kicker Matt Gay leaving one short from 47. Like that does like, and I know
he did get hurt. I think before the game, but yeah, that's bad.
All-pro kicker from 47. Like, I don't know. That's just like you're asking Brady to come back.
Yeah,
and he did. But again, like like we were going like before, defense got to get a stop. They don't.
Exactly. And also, I would like to say, stop disrespecting Cooper Kupp.
Stop it.
Please,
He's
please
top
just
5, and he's not 5 or 4 in my opinion.
exactly. He is definitively top 5. There was no other right answer. He was definitively the best receiver in the NFL this year. And that's all I had to say for that game.
Yeah.
One more thing I had to say in that game. I don't know why Sony Michel had 1 carry, because
that
he's been really good for them.
little.
Cam Akers averaged 2 yards a carry and had 2 fumbles. So I think we might see a little more Sony Michel.
He did not look good at all. Obviously, he's coming back from like a freak injury, but still, I was also pretty surprised Sony Michel didn't get the ball like at all, really.
Yeah.
I think that it's kind of rushing him back to get 24 carries all of a sudden from after having a torn Achilles.
Yeah.
But hey, credit to the Bucs for making it interesting.
I think one last thing I want to say, this game was the most important game of Matthew Stafford's whole entire career, and he delivered. I think with this game, if he lost this game, the scope of his entire career would have changed. Like there would have been no recovering from this.
Yeah, he finally he just finally got that narrative off his back that he can't play in the playoffs, but he definitely showed up.
Yeah, no, he did. And I mean, we can look into the conference championship now with the Rams and 49ers. I think both of these teams, like I was pretty high on both of these teams coming into the playoffs. We were all high on the Rams. I was a little higher on the 49ers than you guys were, but the Rams have lost 6 straight to the 49ers, and they were favored in 4 of them. So
I don't know.
I think that streak ends this weekend.
Yeah,
I think the Rams are going to take this one.
I mean, the first of all, the Rams defense is just so good, like stars everywhere, and combine that with their elite offense compared to the 49ers elite defense and I'd say subpar offense for the most part.
I'd say subpar quarterback.
Subpar quarterback, but their weapons are really good.
No, yeah, for sure. And
they need to throw the ball to George Kittle.
I definitely think early prediction that streak ends.
Yeah, I think it's hard enough to beat a team twice in one season. To beat a team 3 times in one season is like almost unheard of. So I think the Rams finally do it. And I know home field advantage doesn't mean a lot because the Niners invaded week 17, but I think this is a little different. Like I think Rams fans will realize the importance of this game and try to buy the bulk of the tickets to support their team. Like you saw against the Cardinals, that was packed, full Rams. And so I think the home field advantage will be will be a bigger factor for the Rams than it was week 17. And I think, I don't know, the Niners,
49ers fans travel well too, though.
They do.
They'll be showing up.
I think they were on the ropes the last time they played the Rams. And they were down 17-0 and they did come back, credit to them, but I think the Rams will end up winning this game.
Yeah.
And then that will set them up to then host the Super Bowl. So a team will host it 2 years in a row if they win this game. So, but then for the team that they're going to play would be the winner of the Bengals and the Chiefs game. These teams played in week 17 and Jamar Chase went for 266 yards and the Bengals won by 3. So I think it'll be close. Who do you guys got in this one?
So yeah, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people might think. But I think just based on previous playoff success, I just have to ride with the Chiefs. I mean, and I got to ride with Mahomes. I know I rode with Joe Burrow last week, but I just realistically I think the Chiefs are a better team. So I think the Chiefs will win.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Chiefs, Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in the league. And I think an underrated storyline for this game is how well the Chiefs front is playing. like against the Bills, Jaron Reed, Frank Clark, Chris Jones all had amazing games. And I think against that Bengals line, it's gonna make Joe Burrow really uncomfortable. So I don't know if he'll be able to get over the hump like he was against the Titans when there's Patrick Mahomes on the other sideline.
No, yeah. I will say though, I think the game is going to be closer than people think.
Yeah.
Like the Bengals are definitely heavy underdogs in this game, but again, they still have a star-studded offense also. So I think this could also be the making of a potential shootout.
Yeah, I think if Tyrann Mathieu's out, I could definitely see the Bengals winning this game. But if he plays and he shuts down the big plays, I think the Chiefs are just too experienced. They've been there too many times. And I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So that would set up a really good Super Bowl matchup if that happens.
Rams Chiefs could be a rematch of that game. Except replace Goff with Stafford,
which I think would make it much more exciting.
I mess with it.
Yeah, definitely. But we can move on now to some NFL award predictions, because I think those come out in the next week or so, the next week or 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. I think a lot of these will probably have similar takes on, but we'll have some honorable mentions to debate definitely, and I think some of them we won't have the same. But we can start with the MVP. Who do you guys have as your MVP of this season?
Okay, for me, I think probably for you guys, it's pretty clear. Aaron Rodgers. I really don't think there's another correct choice. I mean, he leads I could just go over quickly. He leads the league in EPA per play, pass EPA, and DVOA. He led the Packers to the 1 seed. I know they lost in the first round, but MVP is a regular season award. And I would like to quickly address people that think Jonathan Taylor is the MVP. Don't worry. Don't get me wrong. He's had a great season, probably the best running back season this season, probably in recent memory, actually. But I don't think he should win MVP. I don't think running backs should win at all. Just because it's the most replaceable position. I mean, if you really think about it, Aaron Rodgers, the Packers drop off so much more if Aaron Rodgers is not on that team than if Jonathan Taylor does it if he's not on the Colts. I mean, Rodgers has far more impact and value than Jonathan Taylor does, but definitely got to give a quick shout out to Jonathan Taylor though.
Yeah, I also think it's Rodgers. I mean, it's hard to deny how great he was, and it's going to make for one awkward trophy acceptance speech because he knows he shouldn't be there. He knows he should be in the Super Bowl. But I think going back to the Taylor thing, I also think that I see the argument for Brady. I could see the argument for Burrow, but there's I don't know. I mean, I feel like, running back's the most replaceable position in football. And, Brady and Burrow had good seasons, but I don't know. I think Rodgers is.
It doesn't really compare to
level.
The season
Season
that Rodgers had. I mean, Brady lost to some bad teams, got shut out by the Saints.
Almost lost the Jets.
Almost lost the Jets. I think MVP is pretty clear.
Yeah, I also had Aaron Rodgers, and Brady was at one of my honorable mentions because he led in a lot of quarterback stats. But Rodgers just he didn't have as good of a team as Brady had around him. And with all the drama going on for him to have 37 touchdowns and 4 picks, he played remarkably. But the one thing about Taylor, while I agree, Taylor should not be the MVP winner this year, and I don't think he should get much consideration. But the one thing I'll say is the award is about value. And when you look at the Colts this year, he went over 100 yards 10 times, and they were 9-1 in those games. And when he didn't go over 100 yards, they were 0-7. So I think that should be something that should at least be taken into consideration a little bit. While I don't think he should win MVP, he was a very valuable player this year. He had a great season.
I think with running back MVPs, the past since 2000, it's been Sean Alexander, Tomlinson, and Adrian Peterson. And all three were kind of specific circumstances where Tomlinson set the record for most touchdowns most like rushing touchdowns in a season. Adrian Peterson like had 2,000 yards. Sean Alexander didn't have great quarterback play and was amazing. So I think there's certain cases in which it's deserved, but in this era with like the amazing quarterback play, I just don't think there's anyone but a quarterback you can give it to for the foreseeable future.
Exactly.
Unless
And
something crazy happens.
keep in mind that also the Colts have like an elite offensive line. So you could make the argument. I'm not going to say that he has like no value over replacement, but like you could make the argument that a replacement level running back could put up like also like not obviously 1,800 yards, but like comparable or not
over
comparable,
1,000 yards.
over
least.
1,000 yards, like having a good season. I would say
Like statistically, the Colts O line is not good, but when you really look at it, it's a stud O line. I think they have 2 Pro Bowlers on it, and they're schemed up to run.
exactly.
But you just see it too many times where replacement running backs come in and do just as good of a job. Obviously not as good as Taylor, but they would be serviceable at least.
Exactly. They're just too replaceable. They like really running back is probably the least valuable position on offense. I mean, it might be a bit of a hot take, but it's at least one of the least valuable positions. So based on the definition, most valuable player,
Yeah.
should not go to a running back, in my opinion.
Yeah. So the next thing we can get into is Offensive Player of the Year. To me, it was pretty obvious.
Shouldn't be much of
Yeah.
a discussion.
And it's Cooper Kupp. I mean,
Yeah.
when you set one of the greatest seasons ever by a wide receiver and you win the wide receiver triple crown, you kind of deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, basic stats, advanced stats, every way you look at it, he had the best wide receiver season this year. I mean, one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time, actually. I think that one is pretty clear.
Stop underrating Cooper Kupp. That's what I'm
Yes.
For all
saying.
the people
Please.
calling him slot boy, weep. I'm sorry you're so bitter that you have to just hate on a player who's so great. I'm sorry.
How can someone hate on a player with 1,900 yards? Like how can you do that? And you say, oh, he's not top 10. How? There is no correct answer if he is not top 10. He should be at least top 5. He should really be top 3, but at least top 5.
I mean, this year he's number 1.
Exactly. He was the best receiver this year, and going into next year, he is probably a top 3 receiver.
I mean, yeah, depending where Devontae Adams signs, Justin Jefferson's obviously really good, and some of the other guys, but I mean, there's not many guys you would put over him right now.
I can't think of any. I think I can't think of any, like more than maybe 3 players that I would put over him.
And like you can call him slot boy, but why wouldn't other players just go in the slot? Or why wouldn't he just cover the slot? It's like he's still a receiver on the field. It doesn't matter where he lines up. He's
Exactly
guarded.
I think
1,900 yards is 1,900 yards.
Yeah.
Just
And like
stop
16 touchdowns or 18 touchdowns, whatever it was. Like
exactly.
it was insane.
I think the last play against the Bucs says everything you need to know. Like
Yeah.
that just when someone's hating, just tell them to watch that. And I don't really think we have to spend much more time on this because we all agree, and there's not much of a debate anyway. So
Exactly.
it's just dumb if people think otherwise.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So we can get into Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I think this is also another easy one. With Jamar Chase. I mean, honorable mention to Mac Jones and Najee Harris and even Creed Humphrey, who I know he's good. He should not be in even consideration for Offensive Rookie of the Year, but Jamar Chase just ran away with it at the end of the year.
Yeah, he was also one of the best receivers last year. So I think he's honestly, you could make the argument for him to be top 5 also in his respective position. And don't get me wrong, Mac Jones, like he had a pretty good year. He looked pretty good for the most part. But I think when you have another, again, historic season as a rookie, I think it's pretty clear that Jamar Chase is Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, in the beginning, this kind of looked like last year's Herbert versus Jefferson, but then towards the year, went on, like as the year went on, Jamar just kept going up and Mac kind of plateaued. So I think the separation just it increased.
I was going to
think
mention
it's
that
mostly
comparison, but like Jamar Chase had a Justin Jefferson like season, but Mac Jones is not Justin Herbert, and it's not even close. Like
Exactly.
he's a serviceable NFL quarterback, but he's not comparable to Justin Herbert at all.
And like Jamar Chase just had an unreal season. Mac Jones, he had like a good season, I guess.
Yeah, he was good. He was serviceable. He made the playoffs, but
yeah, they made the playoffs. But did he really have like the like basically transcendent year that Jamar Chase had? No, not even close.
Yeah, and then we can move on to defensive rookie of the year. Again, I think it's a simple one.
It should be unanimous, really.
He had 13 sacks. He was first team All Pro. He unless Capio, you think differently?
I was gonna say TJ Watt. I mean,
defensive rookie of the year.
Rookie. Sorry, Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
not even close.
No,
but mentioning TJ
Watt.
That's
TJ Watt.
I went with TJ Watt. I know sacks are like not the only stat that you can look at as a defensive player, but when you time the sack record, it's like with Cooper Kupp. If he had tied the receiving record, it wouldn't even be a discussion. Like when you tie the sack record, I mean, a bunch of other guys had great seasons. Like you said, Micah Parsons was in the conversation. I think Robert Quinn should be in that conversation with almost 19 sacks. But TJ Watt, he deserved it.
Yeah, I think that one is pretty clear.
It's finally his year.
Yeah,
for sure. Honestly,
he was robbed
he probably could have won it. He could have won it last year. Probably should have won it last year.
Yeah.
But I think this is the year that he gets it.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we have two more that I think will be a little more. We probably have a little more discussion about these. We'll comeback player of the year. What do you guys have for that one?
For me, I thought this one was also pretty clear. Joe Burrow. Not only does he come back from just an absolute horrific injury, but he comes back to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He was second in the league for EPA plus CPOE composite. I know that quite the mouthful, but it is a good statistic. He was 7th in EPA per play and 13th in DVOA. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And to do that, I think he had a better year than Dak Prescott did. I think this one is pretty clear.
Yeah. I think the only other person you could put into this conversation is Nick Bosa, but I think it's Burrow. But I think Nick Bosa does deserve his respect because he is having a great season. And he's going under the radar. But I think that doesn't it doesn't change the fact that Burrow led his team to the playoffs after being projected last in the division preseason and to the AFC Championship. I know it's a regular season award, but I still think it's Burrow. And honorable mention could be like Bosa, but like I said, Burrow's doesn't compare.
Yeah, for me it was Burrow, and my honorable mentions were Prescott and Bosa. So I think we all agreed on that one because I mean, you tear ACL. It was late in the year last year too. No one even expected him to maybe even start the year. And not only did he start the year, but he had an MVP like season for the
Behind a bad O-line too.
Yeah,
behind a terrible O-line.
Awful.
You could have made an argument for MVP, and they were projected to finish like last.
Yeah.
So
I mean, people thought they would be picking an O-lineman at the top of this draft, but that's not going to happen.
Clearly not. They have to win now.
Yeah, their time is now. But the last one's coach of the year. So you can start, Zach. I think I know your answer. I had a different one than you. Who'd you have?
Yeah, I did. I said this in the first one, I believe. I think it's Vrabel, but I think it's very close between him and Zach Taylor. Some other mentions of Belichick and Matt LaFleur, but I think it's going to be Vrabel because of the Titans started 91 players this year, which is the most. I don't even know if might be in NFL history.
I think it's the most ever.
The most ever, and
the Jets were second. The Jets were second.
And it being able to do that, and with one of the players being your best player, being able to just plug and play and scheme around the losses that you're getting. And yes, it might be a fraud 1 seed, but it's still the 1 seed. Like they still got the bye. They did what it took to get the bye, and I think he understands football. And I know the Belichick tree normally doesn't have much success, but I think he's the start of the successful Belichick tree. coaching wise.
Yeah, I mean, you have him and Brian Flores and some other guys. I mean, a couple other guys that are getting consideration right now.
Judge.
Oh yeah, I
Joe
forgot.
Judge.
He just didn't have
Joe
that
Judge
success.
should be coach of the year.
You have some good ones, and you have some bad ones like Joe Judge and Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matt Patricia was awful too.
Yeah, for me, I actually had Bill Belichick. I mean, given the fact that you look at the roster, it's just not the best. I mean, he coaches to have one of the best defenses in the NFL, fourth best defense based on total DVOA. And then you also have Mac Jones. He turns him into one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and to make the playoffs after completely missing the playoffs last year. I think this one goes to Bill Belichick.
Yeah, my two honorable mentions were Vrabel and Belichick, but I went with Zach Taylor because I mean, like Zach, like you said, with Burrow, I don't know, one of you guys said it with Burrow, they were projected to be awful, and they were awful in his first 2 years as the head coach, and no one predicted that he would be a good coach, and they cemented themselves as a solid team with a really bright future, and I think, Vrabel, yeah, he managed the injuries, and Belichick turned a rookie quarterback into a really good quarterback, but the Bengals had no expectations, and they turned out to be really good.
No, yeah, honorable mention to Zach Taylor. They had a great season, or having a great season actually. But for me, I still think it's Belichick. He could win every year, really.
I wouldn't.
He could be in the running for every year, but I think that, just based on like the offensive weapons that he also had, just not good at all.
I wouldn't be surprised if any of these three won it. And honestly, I think all three are deserving. So like we had all the other two that we didn't say it as our honorable mentions. So I think all three, if any of the three won it, I wouldn't be opposed.
No, yeah, me neither.
Not at all. Yeah. So that does it for our NFL awards discussions. And we can do a quick discussion about Aaron Rodgers' future and what that holds. I think you guys both said it. I think he leaves.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say is I don't know where is really a better situation than Green Bay is what I'll say. Like they're built to win right now, and I know there's a couple other teams. I mean, they were the ones in the NFL.
They have a lot of
the
players who either need contracts or free agents coming up.
They do.
Yep.
And I will also say that I
posted on Instagram, "Thank you, Green Bay." If that doesn't say he's gone, then I don't know what does.
The one thing I'll say is that I think him and Devontae Adams are a package. If one of them leaves, they both leave.
No, yeah, I agree with that, but I don't know if they go to the same team.
No, I don't think they do either.
But I will say, like I said before, bye Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I think he's going to go to either the Steelers or the Broncos. I think when you look at both of those situations, they have basically everything except a good quarterback. I mean, you look at, first of all, the Steelers, they have a great receiving core. And then obviously they don't really have that good of an O-line, but then I think Rodgers could definitely deal with that with the weapons he'll have. He'll have more help, not just relying on Devontae Adams and then like screens to Aaron Jones. But you have Najee Harris who looks pretty damn good. And then that elite defense. I think the Steelers is probably the most ideal situation for him.
Yeah, I think the betting odds are probably the Steelers and the Broncos, which makes sense. But my only thing with those two teams is that the quarterbacks in those divisions already are so tough. Like Rodgers would have to play Mahomes, Herbert, and Derek Carr's the worst quarterback in the AFC West if he goes there, which says a lot. So, and also in the AFC North, you have Burrow, you have Lamar. So I don't know. I think the Niners are an underrated spot for him because he grew up as a Niner fan in that area. And the quarterbacks, yes, there's Stafford, yes, Kyler, but Russell Wilson, but like it doesn't compare to the other two. And one fun idea I had, I don't know if it's likely, but one fun idea I did.
I know what you're going to say.
I'm not going to say the Giants.
Oh, never mind.
I'm not going to say the Giants. I don't think the Giants should challenge. We're hearing all these rumblings about Tom Brady retiring. Just imagine you replace Tom Brady with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, that would be wild.
Yeah, that would be
the
nuts.
quarterbacks in that division are Matt Ryan, Sam Darnold, and Taysom Hill. Just
Okay.
think about it.
I will
And
say
he said he doesn't
though,
want to be a part of a rebuild, and they're definitely not in a rebuild. Although they do have a bunch of free agents coming up, so I think they're in a similar situation to Green Bay, if we're being honest.
yeah, they do have a lot
But
of
that's definitely
expiring contracts.
a good idea there.
I will say though, with the whole quarterback thing, I mean, yeah, the quarterback competition is going to be tough, but come on, let's not overthink this. This is Aaron Rodgers we're talking
Oh no,
about.
I'm agreeing, but I'm just saying, like, he's been so used to playing bad quarterbacks his whole career, and to jump from that to probably 2 of the top 6 or 7 in the AFC West in Mahomes and Herbert, it might be a big change for him.
No, yeah, that's true, but then again, we're saying 2 of the top 3 or 2 of the top 6
he is one of
quarterbacks.
them.
He is Aaron Rodgers is probably the second or first in that category.
It might go for tougher sledding than he's been accustomed to.
Maybe, but I think with the team that he hypothetically would have around him, I think he could easily beat all of those quarterbacks.
Yeah. No, I mean, he just has to find some place that's willing to take on his contract. The one thing I'll say about him is just a little bit of a headache. So, like,
Yep.
he wouldn't be
little
able to go
bit.
to a team that has problems. So yeah, I mean, he can go a bunch of different directions, but I don't think he retires. I think he's going to play again.
I don't think so
Not
either.
at
I
all.
think he's hungry. He has unfinished business.
He wants to match
take
Eli
care of.
Manning.
He wants to match like any quarterback. I think
Maybe not
the one
Eli
thing I'll say-
Manning.
Eli Manning wannabe.
The one thing I'll say is the Packers, they win a lot, but do they really? Because a lot of other franchises are just as good as them, and they've had 2 top 30, probably all-time quarterbacks at least in the last 30 years, and they have like what, 1 Super Bowl to show for it.
I mean, that's kind of true, to be honest. I mean,
They've gone through 30 years of quarterback play.
Consistent quarterback play.
2 Super Bowls. 30 years of elite quarterback play. I didn't even say that. To win 2.
Yeah,
then you got Eli Manning with 2 to show for himself.
exactly. And he's not elite, so like,
In the playoffs, he was.
yeah,
playoffs.
that's what matters. That's what matters.
That's what matters.
Oh yeah.
We don't have to get into that.
Yeah, we can get into one final discussion here, and this is something we've talked about for a while. I know that
God.
Matt has a different opinion.
I'm dreading this.
Me and Zach have a different opinion, or at least I think me and Zach have the same opinion. Can a player be clutch? Can they be targeted as clutch?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Just stop saying players are clutch. Clutch. Let me make this clear. Clutch is not a repeatable skill. There is
I think
literally.
it is. I think it
No.
is.
I also think it is.
It's not. There's literally a stat in baseball called clutch, and there is just it has so much like randomness. It is that and the stat clutch it basically has a year-to-year correlation of almost 0. I mean, I think that just shows that in at least baseball clutch isn't real. But we could go into other sports like basketball or football. You remember all the shots that Kobe or Jordan makes, right? But what about all of those times where they miss? You don't remember most of those times really, because people just want a good narrative. They want heroes. But sad to say, because they don't remember probably the majority of the times where they missed that game tying shot or that shot in the last 2 minutes or even 1 minute, it's not a repeatable skill. So no player can be clutch. You just give them the ball because they're a good player.
But doesn't that make them clutch?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so hear me out. Hear me out. I know we were just talking about Eli Manning, but this is a perfect example because he's highly regarded as one of the most clutch players of all time. If you perform at a high level when the stakes are the highest, repeatedly, you deserve the title of being clutch. It's that simple. He's shown 2 times when the stakes were the highest, he delivered. I think it works both ways. If you can be labeled as crumbling under pressure, you can be labeled as thriving in pressure, which in turn is being clutch.
Okay, but what about the times where he performed shit in the wild card round?
The stakes weren't as high. And
the stakes
also
you could on like a very basic level, the stakes are technically the same. It's
That's not true at all.
Win or go home.
It's not the Super Bowl.
Okay, obviously it's not the Super Bowl, but the on a very basic level, the fucking the stakes are the same in the sense that if you win, you're either gonna win or you're gonna get eliminated. So, and we don't really dwell over those times, do we? No, because all the 2 Super Bowl rings that he possibly could have gotten carried by his defense for, but that's a whole different story.
Did he deliver?
No,
okay.
Obviously obviously he did deliver, and what matters most is winning a championship.
Exactly.
I will say that is 2 times. You realize how small of a sample size that is.
He didn't make the playoffs that many times.
But still, to make a judgment based off of 2 times where he made the Super Bowl, 2 times.
But when you perform at your best, when the stakes are the highest, that's what clutch is.
Okay.
But yeah, to me, you can go.
No, you go. Okay.
No, I was just saying,
No, but he made it there twice, but the fact that there's only 2 times we can look at, that is not a large enough sample size for us to make a judgment whether he performs better in high level situations, because he didn't really perform in basically all of the other postseasons where he got eliminated in like the first or second round. I mean, it's just, there is just simply too small of a sample size for players to make judgments on, to say if they're clutch. Like you only remember a handful of times where a player makes a super clutch shot. You don't remember all of the times where they may have missed it. So
I want to hear what Dan has to say.
To me, I'm kind of in the middle. To me, I agree with Zach that it exists, but not to like a super extent where you can really label a player as a super clutch player, because like you said, there's a lot of times where they're not clutch. But to me, being clutch is able to perform under pressure. A player we saw last night.
That's all.
Patrick
really
Mahomes and Josh Allen are both
is.
clutch because they came up and made big plays under pressure.
They're not clutch. They're just good players.
But you can have bad players be clutch.
Yeah, you can. No. Or you can have players.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Just have. No, they just made a bad player just made a good play at the right time.
If a bad player makes a good play when the stakes are highest, that's a clutch player.
It's a clutch moment, and if you have multiple clutch moments, then you're a clutch player.
Thank you.
But do you realize when we talk about multiple clutch moments, we're thinking about at most 5 times, 5 moments. That is just not a large enough sample size. You can't make a judgment based on 5
So
memories.
what is a large sample size then? Because no quarterback has made it. What's the sample size for a quarterback to be clutch then?
You can't have a large enough sample size because it just simply doesn't exist. The most times that a player would even have those high pressure situations and deliver, it's once or twice you can remember off the top of your head. There's never a large enough sample size to measure if a player is clutch.
I think there is a large enough. I agree. I kind of agree with both of you because looking at MLB, when people think of Clayton Kershaw, they think of a not clutch player in the postseason because when it matters the most, he doesn't deliver. So for me, being clutch means when there's an immense amount of pressure on you and it's a big moment and either you're gonna make a play or not. Everyone makes a joke about Max Kellerman with his Andre Iguodala take, and obviously, it's a joke. And obviously, you give the ball to Steph Curry, but the reason he's saying you give it to Andre Iguodala in that moment is because he's made more clutch shots. And whether to me, clutch moments definitely exist. That's
okay. I could
100% definite.
Clutch moments. exist, but I don't think clutch players exist.
But if a player has multiple
clutch moments, they're clutch.
No, they're not. Think about how many times they haven't made that same play. You don't remember
how many times are they given the opportunity to make that play?
Like odds are a guy isn't 5 for 24 on game-winning shots, and maybe they are
because he's never.
But
if a guy only has like 3 chances and he capitalizes on 3 of them, who cares about the sample size? It's still 100%.
Say you have 2 players that are even in talent, right? Say you have 2 NBA players that are even in talent, and they were given the same 10 game-winning shots. One guy made 3 and one guy made 7. The guy that made 7 is more clutch than the guy who made 3.
Okay, I guess, but like you still. Sorry. Oh, that's just a hypothetical. And I actually have
hypothetical.
I actually have a good article about this on Bleacher Report.
Oh, Bleacher Report! Wow.
No, they obviously it's Bleacher Report, but they bring up like a good point in that it's not really like a large enough sample size. Sorry, one sec. Bleacher Report clutch.
In the meantime, I'll just say that well, I agree that you can't label a player as clutch because there's not enough clutch moments. But if you even just making one game-winning shot makes you clutch, like Kyrie Irving
it doesn't.
Capio, Matt, do you think Kyrie Irving would you consider him possibly a clutch
He's
player?
Gonna say no.
No, he is not a clutch player. He's just a great player that makes great plays.
But any great player can make plays and not make plays.
But
he's one.
It depends on the pressure
in those opportunities.
He had the shot against the Warriors in Game 7 that everyone's going to look at and say that's a clutch moment. Would you still say he's not a clutch player for literally? I think it also depends on the like magnitude of the moment. Like that shot, if you make that shot, you're clutch. Like that's a clutch shot to win a championship.
Okay, I know this doesn't have to do with sports, but do I scramble some eggs one day and then am I all of a sudden a chef?
If someone's hungry, then
that's a completely unrelated scenario.
No, but it's the same principle. He makes one clutch shot. Does that make him clutch? No, it's one time.
All right. Well, in your example, right, cooking doesn't make you
and at most, it's like a sample size of like I can count on one hand. That's not a large enough.
But think about it. So in your example, right? Yeah, if you cook, then you're right. It can make you a chef if you cook really well. But if you're a cook for a restaurant and you have hungry people coming in that want you to cook good food and you make good food, then you're clutch. And if you don't, then you're not clutch. That's how it works.
No, it's not. Literally.
Kyrie Irving was given one opportunity in that to do what he did, and he capitalized.
He could have missed that shot.
He capitalized on the moment. Don't get me wrong. That was a clutch moment, but no player can be clutch.
Do you agree that some players crumble under pressure?
Not necessarily.
No, you don't?
What?
Players don't crumble under pressure?
Not necessarily. I mean, sure, they might make a bad play within the last 2 minutes, but
because exactly they crumbled under pressure. They didn't make a clutch.
That doesn't necessarily mean they crumbled under pressure. That just means
why do you think the phrase even exists? Because it's happened.
Phrase? What phrase?
Crumbling under pressure.
I don't
think about it this way. Right. We all played baseball, right? The pressure in the first inning compared to the last inning is much different. Am I wrong?
Okay, but the value of let's say one run in the let's say the score is 2-0, but then you score 1 run in the first, 1 run in the 9th to tie the game. Wouldn't that be like, isn't that run in the first inning just as valuable as the 9th?
No, it is. It is.
Exactly. It's just like in basketball. The points in like the second quarter or like the first quarter, those matter just as much as those same moments in the fourth quarter with like 30 seconds left.
But the moment is bigger. It doesn't matter. The points can be the same, but the moment is bigger.
The moment could be bigger, but that doesn't mean that they're crumbling under pressure.
If let's just say it's game 7 of the NBA Finals, you're down 2 points with 1 second remaining. You get fouled, miss both free throws. Did you crumble
You're
under
not
pressure?
clutch.
But what about everything that happened before to lead up to that moment? What if I made
I'm not talking about before.
What if I made like a clutch 3-point shot to make it so where I'm only down 2 points? What about that?
That is a clutch shot.
That's a clutch shot for the situation.
Think about it this way. If you're watching a basketball game and a team is
It's
down
a clutch
5
moment
with 10 seconds left and a guy makes a
Players
3-pointer, they're going to say that was a big shot. That was a clutch shot. All right.
Yeah.
I just looked up the definition of clutch, and literally every single one that has to do with sports says if someone comes through at a critical moment, then they're clutch.
Critical moment.
If you have critical moments where you perform, then you're clutch. Even if it's one play, you're still clutch for that one play.
It's one play.
One play that
could have not made
defines
the
that
play.
player.
It's one play. That doesn't mean one play is clutch. Or no, sorry.
No, it is clutch.
No, you could act play itself is clutch, but the player is not clutch. That just means that they made a good play.
I agree. I think yes, you can't call a player clutch, but like you can't label a player as a clutch player. But if they have a bunch of clutch moments under pressure, no matter where it is in the game, honestly, they make big plays in big spots, and I think it would mean they're clutch.
Hold on, sorry. I just pulled up this Bleacher Report article, and this is from the 2010-2011 season. This is ESPN clutch field goal percentage compared to normal field goal percentage.
The fact that they have stats about that shows that you can be a clutch player.
No, okay. I will tell you the top 3 players in ESPN clutch field goal percentage. Top 5, actually. Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Sean Marion, Brandon Roy, Hito Turkoglu. Yeah.
Brandon Roy hit many big shots when he was.
Carmelo Anthony is a clutch player.
Okay.
And so is Chris Paul.
One game against the Bulls.
Chris Paul is a very.
I'll also tell you some guys in like toward the bottom. Ray Allen, Vince Carter, LeBron, Kobe. Kobe's near the bottom.
All right, I think you're proving me and Zach's point a little bit here because you're showing talented players that didn't make plays under pressure.
But it is just no.
They weren't clutch. They weren't.
But this is just from one season.
All right,
and are you telling me that
it.
you're telling me that Sean Marion is more clutch than Kobe or LeBron?
If he makes more shots under pressure.
You said
you're telling me
that Kobe Bryant didn't hit any big shots.
Okay, but you're telling me
big shots.
I'm not saying I would take Sean Marion over Kobe Bryant, but like Sean Marion made clutch shots. He's a clutch player.
No, he's not. He just made a bunch of shots at like the
under
right
pressure
time. Not under.
Which is
that's exactly
clutch. That's what clutch is.
Man, I'm done with this.
I think we gotta wrap up soon anyway.
Yeah, we can wrap this one up, but I mean that's something we'd been meaning to talk about. But I mean that's just
clutch is still not real.
We can agree to disagree. We're never
We can
going to
agree-
convince the other side.
we can agree there's clutch moments, right?
Yeah. There's
Yes.
clutch
Okay.
moments. No clutch players though.
All right, clutch moments make clutch players, but
Whatever.
all right. Well, that's all we had for this one this week. Couple nice debates in that one. That'll make for some good content on TikTok. So go like those when we post them, and share them and subscribe to the YouTube
At
anything you
CTN
guys got
Sports
to say.
Pod on TikTok.
Yep,
Yes.
CTN Sports Pod on TikTok and on Twitter. Also, we're gonna try to go to Twitter a little bit, but mostly on TikTok and posting some more short videos on YouTube and keep going with those.
Yep. Oh
All
yeah.
right. Good one today. See you guys next week for some more NFL stuff. And MLB players just met today a little bit with the owners. So hopefully we'll have some MLB
Yep.
stuff. But
Yep.
see you guys next week.
Yep. Take care.